Welcome back to our Plugged In webinar series, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Supporting Utility Customers Through Financial Hardship. My name is Maureen Murky, and I'm the host for today's webinar. At Questline Digital, we're focused on bringing value to utility companies by improving the customer experience and achieving program goals. Before we begin, we want to cover just a few important housekeeping items with you. First, we love an engaged audience. If you have any questions during the event, we encourage you to submit them in our Q&A section located at the lower right of the presentation window. Don't be shy, our presenters love questions. We'll try to answer all of the questions during the webcast, but if a more in-depth answer is needed or we run out of time, we'll connect with you later via email. We also have the attendee chat open. Please feel free to use this function to chat with other attendees about what's standing out to you from the presentation, to ask questions, or just to network. To get started, go ahead and drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. I am live from Columbus, Ohio. We will also conduct poll questions throughout the presentation, and we hope that you'll join in on the fun and participate. These polls will help all of us discover valuable insights and key takeaways on today's topic. To view the poll results, you can simply access the polls tab to the left of your screen. Habla usted español? Parlez-vous français? English not your native language? Check out our closed captioning feature for more options. We have 12 languages available. Next, we want to ensure that your webinar experience is as seamless as possible. Since some networks may cause slides to advance more slowly than others, we recommend logging off of your VPN. If your slides do fall behind, simply press F5 to refresh the page. If you're a Mac user, use Command R. It's that easy. Finally, look for a follow-up email in your inbox this week. You'll receive the PowerPoint presentation and a playback link to the webinar recording. Now let me introduce our presenters for today. With over 2 decades of agency experience, Joe Pifher is a creative marketer who has contributed to enhancing the brand communications of clients ranging from Fortune 50 companies to small businesses. Throughout his career, Pifher has played a pivotal role in numerous projects, spanning from national promotions and branding to collateral kits and trade show design. Joe has introduced his unique approach and understanding to a diverse array of clients. Today, Joe continues to passionately guide his team and utility clients in fostering connections and initiating conversations. Jill Vohr is the Marketing and Communications Director for Energy Star certified products at the Environmental Protection Agency's Energy Star program, with 20-plus years of marketing energy efficiency. She leads the marketing team for all products, including new and exciting clean electric technologies like heat pumps and heat pump water heaters, and works with hundreds of Energy Star partners, including manufacturers, retailers, and utilities, representing popular consumer brands to promote energy efficiency and efficient electrification and their benefits to the environment. In today's webinar, we'll hear from Joe about how to support your utility customers and market programs and services to them that can help. We'll then hear from Jill about tools and resources that you can use and share with customers from the Environmental Protection Agency. We'll then end with time for discussion and answering any questions you may have. But before I pass it off to Joe, I'd like to begin today's discussion with a poll question. I will go ahead and launch that now for you. The question is, how effective do you believe your current communication strategies are in reaching customers facing financial hardship? Are they very effective, somewhat effective, neutral, somewhat ineffective, or very ineffective? Go ahead and choose how you currently feel your communication strategies are working. Remember that you can see all of the poll responses by going to the poll widget on your screen. I'll keep that open for just a few minutes to let the responses roll in. And for now, I'll pass it off to Joe.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Joe Pifher, and I am here to talk to you about supporting your customers who are low and medium income. Let's start with this. We know that about 40 million people are living in poverty right now. We also know that electricity prices have gone up over the last couple of years. And according to the U.S. Energy Administration's short-term energy outlook, it's going to continue to go up for the next couple of years. How can you help with that? Well, you can listen to your customers, watch their behaviors. Are they continuing to pay their bills on time? Are they paying them late? Are they not paying them at all? You have programs out there that can help them. You have payment assistance programs, financial aid programs, high bill budget billing solutions, and more. Just know that there's ways that we can help those customers who are in poverty. You can be a friend, you can be a foe. We know that you want to be the friend. Help market these things to them because they really want them and need them. In a utility article that we wrote, we reached out to some energy experts out there in the field, and this is one of the things that they said to us. It's critical that utilities be a resource of transparent information and guidance when it comes to energy efficiency and assistance programs. Showing customers empathy and understanding is key. I'm sharing this with you because it leads right into this next slide. How do we market to customers? What tools do we use? What are we saying to them? Well, let's start with this. We know that you have to keep your customers engaged. An engaged customer is a loyal customer, and an engaged customer is a more trustworthy customer. As long as you're being transparent with your communications, they're going to trust you. A customer that trusts you is going to boost your customer sat scores. Listen to your customers. They have needs. They may not be coming out and telling you specifically, but their behaviors are going to speak for them. And then once those behaviors speak, or the survey, or whatever you do that you're listening to them, support them and give them programs that are going to give them what they need. And then don't make them go and find any information. You should reach out to them on the platforms that they're on. If it's a platform that you don't normally use, but a lot of your customers are on it, figure out how to use it. What do we do at Questline Digital? For every campaign that we do and every customer that we bring on, we want to make sure that your customers are engaged. Engagement's very big. We send 400 million emails a year. We have numbers, we have metrics that show that an engaged customer is more likely to click through on program promotions. What's a good way to engage your customer? Content. Content is a great way to do it. You're reaching out to those customers in between transactional communications. You're not just asking them for money. You're giving them support. You're educating them. You're entertaining them. In this slide alone, you can see that it says January 21st is Squirrel Appreciation Day. What you're doing is you're entertaining them and you're building that relationship. And what's a good way to get that message to them? Newsletters. Again, 400 million emails are going out. People who are engaged in newsletters are clicking through to your program promotions more. A newsletter is a regular email that's going out to them at a regular cadence. Your customers will expect them, and that's always going to be beneficial. Also, simplify benefits. Don't make your customers dig for that when you're communicating with them. Lead with that. Lead with the benefit. Sure, it might be helping your grid in the background, but they don't care. What they care about is what's in it for them. And then personalize the communications. You personalize those communications. You can personalize it with a name, but more importantly, you personalize it with the communications that you send to that person. Don't send them everything. Send them only what's needed. Send them what they want to see. And then you can do all of those, and it's not going to matter, because if the barriers are too high, they're not going to click through. They're not going to convert. So make sure that you're removing any barriers that exist. Now I'm going to share with you some real-world examples. These are all for low to medium income customers. The first one I want to share with you is for PSE&G. They had a challenge back during COVID when people were out of work. Money was tight. Everybody was afraid. Some of their customers were not paying their bills on time or paying them at all. So they had a plan, they had a program that would allow them to defer payments. They came to us. They asked us to help them with the program and help to get this communication out. We helped them with an email and a one-click landing page. In this one-click landing page, it pre-populated with information. So the customer did not need to go and fill anything in. It was already there. It had their name, and it only went to the people that needed it. They had 2.3 million people in their base, but only 73,000 people got this. We had an open rate of 45%. We had a click-through rate of 18%, and nearly 12,000 people enrolled in just a couple of days. That's a pretty impressive number, from 73,000 emails sent to 12,000 enrollments. Another campaign that we sent out was for REAP. REAP stands for Residential Energy Affordability Partnership, and it was for PSEG Long Island, the sister company of the one I just spoke of. The challenge here was to get a technician to come out to a customer's house. With this REAP program, we helped them build emails, build landing pages, and then figure out what the easiest way to get rid of those barriers was. And this is what we did. We built an email. We did the landing page. The landing page pre-populated with their information. The email simplified those benefits so they knew to go to the landing page. And then from the landing page, they answered a couple questions and they instantly knew if they qualified to have a technician come out to their place. A calendar came up. They were able to pick their time, pick their date. And then to top it all off, we had a reminder email that would go out to the customer and they would know this guy's going to be on his way soon. Another program is HAP. HAP stands for Household Assistance Program. And this too is for PSEG Long Island. This particular program had a barrier in place of getting people to mail in information. We know that's a difficult thing to get people to do. So what did we do? We were able to allow them to securely upload that same information and not need to worry about stamps or printing things out, putting them in envelopes and sending them off. This was great for the utility. This was great for the customer. The data company, the utility, and our own data, we combined, anonymized, and we were able to pull together 5 segments. 4 of those segments and 1 control group: renters, single parents, mature homeowners, and young homeowners. And why is that important? Because each of these points of communication that went out to them were directed to them specifically. And what did we find out during this process? Well, our mature homeowners performed a little under our control group. That's never great, but you know what? The control group performed well, so that helped out those people. We also know that renters outperformed, as far as conversions, 3-to-1 any other segment. Keep that in mind when you're putting together your own low to medium income campaigns. Renters are a big segment and an active segment. At least that's what we've learned in this particular campaign. And finally, on one of the other programs I want to share with you that we're pretty excited about is personalized video. In this program, we're doing something for First Energy and their opcos. First Energy has 5 different programs that they're trying to get out there. Some of their customers are already enrolled in a few of those programs, so they didn't want to repeat those same programs to their customers. With personalized video, you can pull off 2 of those programs. Say you're enrolled in 2 of those, now those 2 programs aren't being shown to you. The other great thing about this is First Energy has built this video, and now their opcos can utilize it. It'll swap out their logos, it'll swap out names. If we had imagery in there that had locations, the locations could swap out. And at the end of the video, there's a card with call to actions where you could click straight to the pages that you can enroll into the different programs. The programs that you're eligible for or that we think you may qualify for or that you're not already enrolled in will be the only ones that are visible there. So you're not getting inundated with extra call to actions there either. Right now, I want to share that video for you.
Hi, Susan. We're reaching out to Penn Power customers like you to make sure you're aware of assistance programs that are available to you. The Pennsylvania Customer Assistance Program, or PCAP, helps customers catch up and avoid seasonal bill spikes. Eligible customers may receive either a monthly bill credit or a one-time opportunity for account balance forgiveness, or both. This program also enrolls customers in the Equal Payment Plan to ensure consistent bills. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, also known as LIHEAP, provides payment assistance for heating bills. LIHEAP also provides payment assistance for emergency situations, including disconnection or threat of termination. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program helps renters pay current or past due bills. ERAP pays for rent, utilities, and other housing-related expenses. To learn more about these assistance programs, click the links on the screen or visit firstenergycorp.com/billassist to explore other available programs.
These videos can be done in several languages. I'm sure you saw at the bottom it said English or Spanish. You literally would just have to click one. That could be many languages. I think there's up to 7 that they offer right now, and they're adding to that. As for numbers, we're still early in the process, but here's what I can tell you. About 45% people click through and watch the video. Of that 45% of people who watched the video, nearly 72%, 75% of the people watched it all the way through. That's an impressive number for engagement. It's not what you get all the time. So we're pretty excited about that. We don't have conversions yet. It's like I said, we're still early in that process. We should have them hopefully put together and wrapped up in a case study sometime after April. So check back. Thank you for your time. Now let's pass it back to Maureen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. Before I pass it off to Jill, I will launch our second poll question of the day. The question is, what is your biggest challenge you face when communicating with customers about financial hardship programs? Is it understanding customers' unique situations, communicating effectively about available assistance programs, overcoming stigma associated with financial hardship, or ensuring privacy and sensitivity during discussions? Go ahead and choose your answer. I'd love to learn more about what challenges you're facing. Again, I'll leave the question open for just a few minutes. Remember that Q&A will be here sooner than you think, and you can send in questions at any time in the Q&A widget. All right, and as you continue to submit your answers, I will let Jill take it away.
Thank you, Maureen. So I will be talking about the value of Energy Star, particularly with the new Inflation Reduction Act incentives to support low-income consumers with heavier lift, energy-efficient home upgrades. We all know that Energy Star is a certification that means energy and money savings to the majority of consumers. In fact, 90% recognize Energy Star and 80% understand what it means. This value is now amplified with IRA, given its connection to certification. Nothing accelerates adoption like incentives, particularly for products like heat pumps, where the biggest barriers to adoption are first cost. As you can see here, IRA incentives are based on Energy Star specifications. So all customers have to do is look for the Energy Star on these products, and they'll know that in addition to energy savings, they'll get discounts in the form of tax credits and instant rebates. Plus, IRA incentives can be stacked on top of your utility program rebates for some of the biggest discounts we've ever seen. Once IRA came into the picture, along with the impending HERE state rebates, our team at Energy Star recognized the importance of better understanding this audience to effectively engage them in the benefits of home upgrades with these new significant incentives. We conducted research specific to households with 80% or below area median income based on HERE to uncover attitudes, behaviors, barriers, and motivators on both upgrades and incentives. We conducted smaller triad interviews among both English and Spanish-speaking audiences to really dig into where these consumers were on all of this so we could develop and activate effective outreach tactics and messaging. Here's an overview of our findings. Essentially, no one knows what a heat pump is. There's very low awareness, especially among Spanish speakers, plus a ton of barriers, mostly related to high upfront costs and process overwhelm. So despite the interest, most of our respondents would not consider upgrading to a heat pump or heat pump water heater unless, one, they needed to replace their current system, upgrade savings outweighed costs, and financing options were available to address upfront costs. In terms of motivation to learn more, we see a difference between English and Spanish-speaking audiences. Heat pumps can lower my energy bill, saving me money, rose to the top 2 spots for English and Spanish speakers, which makes sense given the key barriers for both audiences. Health, described as heat pumps improve air quality compared to traditional heating and cooling systems, thereby improving my health and the health of my family, was top for Spanish speakers, while third for English speakers. A close second and third for all audiences was rebates and incentives. Again, it's a money-saving benefit. When we explored rebates, we found that despite familiarity, this actually resulted in more barriers versus less based on their experiences or what they have heard. That rebates are after the fact and don't address upfront costs, and that they are also cumbersome to process. So basically, rebates and tax credits are not as powerful a hook as, for low-end consumers as most people would think. Incentives would be appealing if they were instant and easy to process. And generally, everyone felt that more information was needed on both rebates and tax credits, especially in Spanish. Related to information sources for home energy upgrades, the typical process is starting with word of mouth to learn about the technology or new information, in many cases seeing or hearing about recent upgrades. Then individuals research online. Most start with Google and are funneled from there. In fact, I just Googled it. It came up a ton of times. So Google is a very popular mechanism for finding out information for this audience. Then the third step is people seek advice from professionals or those with technical expertise. And these are considered contractors or plumbers, or a trusted, knowledgeable sales associate at their local home improvement store. Information sources for heat pumps specifically are slightly different per this pie chart on the left, mainly since with little knowledge about heat pumps, they don't seek out information proactively. Why would they Google a heat pump if they don't know what it is, right? Instead, they learn about them more organically from people close to them, family, friends, neighbors, followed by contractors or local home improvement sales associates that suggest them. As far as trust, contractors are trusted the most per the darker color. The size of the circle represents the number of times that they were mentioned as a trusted resource. Since low-income consumers understand that utilities provide rebates and states will provide IRA rebates, many see both of these as obvious sources for information. But while local and state governments are trusted, trust in utilities is split, which accounts for the smaller size and lighter color of the circle. One of the things we've learned in research is that utilities help their customers save energy. That's true is counterintuitive to many of their consumers. Why would my utility want to save energy when that's the business that they're in, selling energy? So this brings in a lack of trust in utilities, but this trust can be counteracted by talking about your partnership with Energy Star, if you're a partner, and why you're a partner. And that really is about commitment to saving energy, your customers' energy and money through energy saving programs and rebates. So simply highlighting that will help a lot with some of that lack of trust. Through both our general and low-income audience research, we found that there's a high trust in Energy Star for information on energy-efficient products, especially heat pumps and heat pump water heaters. They also understand EnergyStar.gov as a source of information on rebates as well as tax credits, particularly since many rebate programs leverage Energy Star for their programs. Okay, so with all this research in hand, together with new opportunities offered by the Inflation Reduction Act, Energy Star is working very closely with DOE to develop one of our largest outreach efforts ever, starting with the aptly titled Clean Energy Future campaign, scheduled for spring of this year. It involves an umbrella positive perception campaign designed to generate excitement and spur action, and it's supported by action-driving promotional pulses focused on specific products and audiences with messages that feature benefits and the incentives that they're eligible for. It also includes community-based outreach focused on connecting LMI consumers to the state rebates once they're available. And the centerpiece of this campaign is, drumroll please, no surprise, the IRA incentives along with utility rebates, as well as other services that provide households, and in particular low-income households, the support they need to make and benefit from these energy-saving upgrades. So to that end, we created a tool which is now live at energystar.gov/home savings with the purpose of educating consumers about opportunities to save and provide easy access to all the incentives that are available. So all you have to do is enter your zip code and select a product, and you get a summary of incentives currently available. You'll note that right now we're only including products with tax credits. That's because state rebates aren't available yet. Once they become available, we'll be adding electric cooktops, induction, and heat pump dryers. So anyway, for this demo, we picked heat pump water heaters. And here are the results. A full list that also includes typical project cost to help understand total savings. And if we were to click on tax credits next, here are the results. Again, it includes explainers with specifics on tax credits and how to take advantage of them. Again, we learned through consumer research that this audience really is hungry for information, not just about how to make these upgrades, but how to take advantage of these incentives. So we're providing a lot of educational information along the way to help handhold them through the process. We also include utility rebates for products listed, which can be stacked on top of tax credits for more purchase incentives. I really encourage utilities to promote the tax credits in addition to their program rebates, because it's all goes into that, incenting adoption of the product and engagement in the program. So as part of the Energy Star program, we actually partner with utilities that have historically shared rebate data for our rebate finder. So we have this rebate finder that also exists separately from the home savings tool. And basically that data was pulled into this tool when we developed it. Again, so that you could take advantage not just of IRA incentives, but all the incentives that are available. Here's an example of utility rebates available on heat pump water heaters in the chosen zip code, which happens to be the Bay Area. Of course, we will add another button for state rebates when they are available. Again, and we are working with DOE on getting that state information. Looks like New York may be first, we're really hoping, and California soon after that. But again, as soon as that data is available, we're going to pull it into this tool, and again, to just avail customers of all the information available, depending on their income. The Home Savings Tool also includes other popular resources for consumers, including Product Finder and Installer Finder. These resources draw millions of consumers to our site monthly, very popular. Those that visit our rebate finder often link to utility partner sites, so including rebates on our site has a lot of value in terms of driving traffic to utility program pages. Our Clean Energy Future campaign that drives to the new Home Savings Tool will undoubtedly increase that traffic, because we're going to be running a paid media campaign, driving traffic to this resource. So again, if you have a program, if you have a rebate, work with us, get it into this tool, and it'll serve you well. So now I will conclude with a summary of insights and recommendations. So basically, I suggest that think about your audience when you're designing your programs. It's not just in terms of how you market them, how you message them, but actually how you're designing the program itself. That, I think, is the biggest takeaway. Address their challenges and motivators. So I would, where you can, offer midstream, instant rebates, and leverage those IRA incentives, right? Share rebate information with Energy Star for energystar.gov. And if you're not a partner now, reach out to me. There's my email. Join now and get that rebate data, because we're going to be doing a lot to engage consumers in these opportunities, and it'll include your program rebates too. And provide a full range of support services for this audience. Audiences with financial hardship don't just need money support, they need services, because they've got so much on their plate, right, that they're dealing with. So provide them access to service providers. And that's one thing that we do also through our platform, is provide that installer finder that you saw. And we have partners that are actually service providers that act as concierges for consumers as well, and facilitate rebates in addition to the upgrades. Focus the messaging. Okay, we talked about messaging, but focus it on planning your replacement, right? This audience is not going to do the proactive replacement. Let's be honest. They have no incentive to replace a unit that's already working, right? So they're going to wait till it's broken. But if you talk to them about planning and start that planning process, then by the time it breaks, they'll appreciate the fact that they have an immediate solution, right? And the messages should be all about money savings. Okay, that's a duh. Everybody knows that. But don't forget about these other messages like family health and environment. Environment is very important to this audience. And obviously, it's important to offer multicultural resources. And, I encourage you to take advantage of it's all free guidance, resources, and marketing messaging and materials from us. Again, we encourage you to partner with us if you're not a partner, but we provide we're EPA, we provide a public service. We're happy to give you any of the resources that we have, including access to our tool and a web banner that you can put on your websites to help drive traffic there. And then, of course, leveraging the credibility and trust in our brand. It's really going to help, particularly since IRA rebates are based on Energy Star certification. So it'll help make that connection and make it easy for customers to make sure that they pick the right product that's eligible for everything. So those are the takeaways. I hope some of this was helpful to you, and we're just really excited to work with you on the clean energy future. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jill. Before we get to the audience Q&A, I have just one more poll question. The question is, what aspect of your utility's communication strategy do you believe needs the most improvement? Is it the clarity of the message, the frequency of communication, the variety of communication channels used, or the tone and empathy in communication? All right, I will leave that poll open as we jump over to our live Q&A portion. Joe and Jill, please join me up on stage. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Joe and Jill, I'll have you guys come up on stage with me now, as I have a few questions for you. A reminder into the audience, you can submit questions anytime right now. I will see them. So know that I will get those questions over to Joe and Jill. So first question here that I will pass off to you both. I'll send it over to Jill first. So Jill, you said that the home savings tool also includes utility rebates. How would a utility go about getting these rebates or getting their rebates included? And are you making this tool and the incentives and services available for others to leverage?
Yes. So as I said in the presentation, we partner with utilities. And many of you might be partners with us. If you're not a partner, definitely reach out to me. My email was there, and I'm sure Questline will provide you contact information after. And as a partner, that's what we do. We help support your energy efficient outreach, and we want to obviously connect consumers who are interested with your programs and the rebates. So first, be a partner, and then you have to share your program data, and we pull it into the database that supports our resource. And that includes both Rebate Finder that we have live right now, as well as this new tool that brings in the IRA incentives as well. So, and there was a second part of that question, Maureen?
Yes. Just are you making the tool and the incentives available for others to leverage was the second part.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we're doing. And one of the questions in the chat was about, that there's all these resources available for audiences with financial hardship. And what's great about the Inflation Reduction Act is those can be stacked with additional resources. A lot of utilities have low income programs and provide a lot of resources to their customers. Now you have something else you can pull in to incent engagement with your program. And in fact, tax credits are available. And I know that oftentimes tax credits aren't the best resource for financial hardship audiences, depending on their income level. But still, these are resources that can help certainly middle income audiences. And again, they can be stacked with programs that you have on heat pump water heaters. And it just really reduces that first cost, which will really help onboard the customer to this action. So, yeah. It's all available.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jill. Joe, I'll pass this question to you. You talked a lot about some really great real-world case studies. I was wondering if you could talk about what other tactics that you recommend for utilities to boost engagement with their customers.
I think in general, not just speaking to the low to medium income, I think in general, reaching your customer immediately as soon as they onboard, having a system in place where you're sending information and communications out to them on a regular basis is a good way to go. For us, we have something we call a welcome series, and we work with our utility partners. And as soon as you become a utility customer, what happens is you'll get a series of emails, and those series will hit you one at a time based on what you're needing at that time. So the first one will be a welcome, and then it will kind of explain your bill, and another one it will introduce you to the alerts. So it's what it's doing is it's setting a behavior and allowing your customers to open those emails, get involved in those, and see that they're getting value from them. Another thing that we do is suggesting content and educating your customer. When you're educating your customer, they're going to be more likely to understand what you're trying to get them to click on and go into. Newsletters are a great way to get that information out to them. And again, newsletters are, and I think I mentioned this in the presentation, newsletters are a great way to hit your customers between those transactional emails. So if you're hitting them once a month or once every 3 months, they're expecting it and they're learning from it, and they're just more or less getting engaged and involved. And we know that when they're engaged with newsletters, there is a higher rate of possibility. In fact, our numbers show that I think it's for residential customers, anyone who's engaged in their newsletters will be more likely, about 20% more likely to click on a program promotion.
Perfect. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jill, I think this question is in reference to what you were just talking about, but Lisa asks, can this be applied in the cooperative world? About the incentives and rebates.
Yes, absolutely. Several of our utility partners are co-ops. We have a whole team. It's not me, but I work very closely with them. They're actually called the Clean Energy Team. And they are our folks on the ground working with all our utility partners to make sure that we customize our services and support whatever type of utility, municipality, co-op, whatever, however you operate. And I'll tell you, especially the smaller utilities, the municipalities, they're the ones that we end up working with the most because, our stuff is free, our support is free. And we want to, provide the support where it's needed. And so I would say especially the co-ops and rural markets are ones that are often forgotten and probably the most important in terms of effectively reaching LIDAC communities. So, and as I said, our outreach really does have that layer that includes a LIDAC. That's a very important part of our responsibility with the Inflation Reduction Act. So know that we're going to be heavily active in rural communities too, and working with those partners that operate there. So absolutely.
Awesome. That is great to know. Thank you, Jill. I'm going to ask you this next question too, and it's a two-parter, so I can repeat if necessary. So first part is, what is your targeting strategy for the Clean Energy Future campaign? And then second part that I'll say now is, and how will that affect the timing of the launch since state rebate programs are taking a little bit of a while to establish?
Right. So as I said before, and you're right, relatedly to the last question, we have our campaign is several layers. One is sort of that positive perception consumer education campaign, and that's for all Americans, right? And that's just saying, hey, electrification is here and it's really positive, and get engaged, and it's got incentives and you can be a part of it. And that's where we're going to be actually promoting a lot of the utility rebates, because they're often like, these have been around for years and they've been very effective, right? So it's not like IRA comes in and all of a sudden you forget the utility rebates. So the idea is that we want to promote tax credits that are available now in these utility rebates. And that's what we have to offer now in this general consumer education campaign. And that we're going to start regardless. And right now we're slated for end of May. And so we're not dependent on the state rebate programs to start our consumer outreach on IRA. The low income piece of it, which was that other layer that's focused on LIDAC communities, that obviously hinges on the state rebate programs, because it doesn't make sense to engage a customer in upgrading their home with these technologies without having the financial incentives that are going to help with their first cost. So, and the services that the states are also going to provide as part of the programs. So right now we're working really, really closely with, in fact, I have a call this afternoon with NYSERDA. They're implementing the first, it looks like they'll be first out, as I said. And so we're working with New York, we're working with California, and they're all their teams, and particularly on the market. I'm going to be working on the marketing side, figuring out what they need, and how we can work side by side to effectively reach the LIDAC consumer and connect them. And it's really not just LIDAC, but it's also middle income, because there's a lot of incentives for middle income too. So we'll be working to connect all those customers to those. So we're just waiting. We're going to be ready though, to sort of pounce on New York with them hand in hand. And hopefully that won't be, probably April, we're hoping, but you can't tell, but we'll be ready. So that's sort of how it's going to be rolled out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Everyone can stay tuned for that. Joe, this question for you. If you were to redo any of the programs again that you talked about, would you do anything differently?
As far as doing it differently, it's kind of hard to say. I will say that during our PSCG Long Island, which campaign was that? That was the HAP campaign. We did do segments and it worked very well. But as I mentioned, one of the segments was outperformed by the control group. So I think what we would want to do in that instance is just maybe look into deeper segments, go look a little deeper, talk to the data company a little more. I think maybe opening up to more channels would also be potentially beneficial. What we did was we tried to stay with the same channels and pitch those to all the segments, just direct that communication that was going to them and the messaging for those specific groups. But if there's a segment that doesn't react to a certain channel, maybe pull that out and then put another one in. I think for the purposes of what we were doing, we didn't want to do that just to see sort of a baseline of who was reacting, who wasn't. But moving forward, I think that would be the best way to go. And what other channels? I mean, it really depends. You would want to talk to you want to know your audience, basically. Work with your data company and just know how they're reacting, which demographics you have. Also, if you have a larger community of Spanish-speaking individuals, you want to make sure you get that in there as well, or depending on where you are, if it's other languages, just make sure you're able to talk to the people that you're trying to get in touch with.
Perfect. Great advice. Thank you. We actually are running out of time already, which is so surprising. So I'm going to ask each of you one more question, and then we'll close out today's webinar. So Jill, final question for you. Close to 50% of financially burdened audiences are renters. Did you learn anything about how we can support those consumers in your research?
Yes, that's a very good question, because one of the main things, and I don't know if I pointed it out in our research findings in the presentation, was that renters absolutely do not feel empowered around upgrades for their home. In fact, many are discouraged to even make that suggestion because they're afraid it might impact the relationship with their landlord. So it was kind of like a no-go. Renters, although they had a lot of opinions about and felt positive, like everybody, the results of the research is that there was definitely positivity around the clean energy future and these opportunities and excitement around the rebates. But when it came to actually doing it, they just, my landlord has to take that first step, right? I can't, and I really don't want to encourage them unless their landlord happened to be a family member and they were pretty safe, that would be a different situation. So the jury's still out on renters and how to encourage renters. Of course, they're going to need support in all of this too. But what we're going to be doing is a second round of research to really explore the landlord and how we can impact their decision around electrification and upgrading their homes to more energy efficient technology. So stay tuned. We'll have some more information, and EPA Energy Star will definitely be doing outreach to landlords as part of our overall IRA education efforts. But renters, not a great audience to promote upgrades to of this nature. Instead, I'll just tell you, we're going to be offering, as we have for many, many years, low to no cost tips, easy things that they can do to save energy in their home, because most of them are paying the energy bill. So any way that they can save is going to help them out. And I know a lot of utilities do this as well. So we provide those too. And that's the best advice we have right now for renters.
Awesome. Thanks, Jill. That's good advice. The savings is definitely an important topic for those audiences. Joe, my final question for you is, if you could choose only one marketing tactic to use when supporting these customers, what would it be?
I think that's a trick question. I think you have to know your audience. So if some of your audience is on social, go with social. If they're not, I mean, it doesn't make sense to go there. Short form video is a great way to talk to people because there are so many people who are on TikTok or Reels, and it's a good way to get a message, especially an awareness message out to people. If you're not doing that, you should be definitely hitting some sort of short form video platform to get those messages out. I mean, other things that would be helpful, and they're things that we're not really thinking about when we're doing a lot of this because it's more involved and hands-on. But if you're not reaching out to local food banks or churches or any religious organizations, places where people are going to when they actually need help from their community, that should be something that you should consider too. It may not help them directly like the food bank, but that food bank wants to help people. That's why they're there. So they're going to likely take you up on putting in a drop in into their bag that they're giving people, especially if it's something that they know is going to help the community around them.
Yeah, that's so true. Connecting with those community-based organizations, really important. Thank you, Joe. All right, well, time flies when you're having fun. So I do have to bring the conversation to a close. If you have any other additional questions, please feel free to reach out. We will get back to you. Joe and Jill, thank you so much for your insights on supporting utility customers facing financial hardship. You shared a lot of helpful resources and tips, and I just really appreciate your time today. And audience, thank you as well for joining us. I appreciate your time as well. As a reminder, the follow-up email will be sent to you shortly with the presentation materials and the playback link. If you have any additional questions, like I said, please don't hesitate to contact us. And there will be a brief survey at the conclusion of the event. Please don't close out your browser because we would really appreciate your feedback. Registration for our next webinar will be open soon on our website, so keep an eye out for it, and we will see you again soon. Thank you again for attending, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.